YouTube. Top of the morning to everybody, all my truckers and truckettes out there. Welcome back to the Highway Cowboy channel. I'm checking in with you here at the Jackson, Georgia TA, just sort of sipping my coffee in the morning. And I've got some time to kill, which isn't necessarily a good thing in trucking when you got too much time to kill. But I'm dropping off here later at the Walmart DC, and I figured I'd cover a subject that, to be honest, I wish I knew more about when I first started my authority, when I bought my first truck. And that subject is knowing more about what to look for when you're buying your first truck or a second truck. Um, what sort of things you should be looking for at the dealership or wherever you're buying a truck before you decided to make that move of making a purchase and making it an educated decision. Um, of making and buying that truck or whether it's good for you or not. So stick with the video and I'll show you on my truck as an example what things I would look for if I were to buy another truck at this point. And thankfully it's a little bit of a cloudy day and it's a little bit windy, so it ain't that bad outside just going out there and vlogging. So yeah, that's always a plus, right? So first off, guys, first appearances are key. That's the best thing. When you first walk up to a truck that you're interested in, you've seen online or somewhere, first appearances is key because you look at how the truck looks and it tells you how it's been maintained, how the previous owner took care of it. And it tells you a lot of what to expect when getting into a truck, when you start looking at all the mechanical things. And I apologize, my truck hasn't been washed in a week. It needs a bath. It's kind of dirty, but you get the idea. So right off the bat, what you got to do is look in the front. First thing what I would look for is, to be honest with you, if the truck is level. I mean, that'll tell you if you got a suspension issue, if it's sagging or something's off about the the suspension system on the truck. That's always something you got to address. Definitely going down the road because we could give you alignment issues, it can give you ride issues, it can actually cause excessive wear and tear down the line. So it's something you really need to look for when you get into a truck. So if you got a dealership that you're looking at a truck with, that you're looking to purchase, if they got a reputation to uphold, 9 times out of 10 they're going to put slap new tires on there. Granted, they might be Chinese tires or they might be recaps, but they're new tires. If not, if they are in fact the original, maybe they're virgin tires, they might be in good shape. But anyway, you want to take a good look at them, whether they have any cuts and cracks or bulges, or if they're dry rotted. Because to be honest with you, you might find out, but you might also not find out how long that truck's been there on that lot. So that it could be up to a year, maybe even longer. You really don't know. So take a good look at the tires, make sure they're don't have any funny wear patterns, anything that really would tell you that there's a suspension issue or an alignment issue, something that really needs to be addressed at that point. And well, to be honest, that's sort of a basic pre-trip type of deal, which you should be doing in your truck every day, regardless. Anyway, but yeah, that's a good starting point. After that, I would start looking into. You look over your engine, make sure you don't have any leaks, any oils coming out, any something that would be of concern on a day-to-day basis when you're driving your truck. Stuff like that needs to be addressed. You can't have leaks on the truck because, again, if your truck's been sitting there, that truck's been sitting there on a lot for some time, and it's leaking. Just imagine what it's doing going down the road. That's not something you really want to have to deal with on a truck that you purchase as your first truck, and something you wanted to deal with right off the rip. So yeah, definitely point that out to the dealer or their mechanic if they have one at the shop. I'm sorry, at the dealership. Get them to fix that. Next thing off, I would start with basically your fan. Make sure there's no any cuts, any broken pieces, any broken fins, things that you see maybe are nicking around the shroud here. That's definitely not a good thing. Then you look at your belts. Well, how are the belts looking? Are they frayed? Are they ripped? Do they need to be replaced? Any excessive wear and tear, and that sort of thing. You look at the wiring. I mean, there's only so much you can do with the wiring, but if you see anything that's oddball, anything maybe it looks like it's being corroded, or it might need some replacing or some TLC, that's something you need to have addressed as well. Um, so electrical issues are there's a lot to deal with when you come to a truck, but yeah, it's something you really need to address. Then again, going back to the basic pre-trip stuff, check your oil, guys. Check the oil on a truck. Mine's probably not a great example. It's due for an oil change in probably the next 1,000 miles, I believe. So yeah, it's going to go down for a PM here pretty soon. And you got to check with the obvious things, filters and things like that. You want to check your fluid levels. You want to make sure everything's filled up to where it's supposed to be. And since you're already on this side, take a look at your steering pinion. Make sure you don't have any excessive wear, anything that's shaking, rattling, and things like that. That's something DOT is going to look for too. I think there was a blitz at one point about that. So yeah, have a look at all of that. And if you have drums on that truck, you want to check your brakes, check your pads, make sure you don't have excessive wear. Mine's not exactly the best example because I have disc brakes, so it's not that easy to really to check on a pre-trip or check it on the truck. But yeah, that's one of those things you want to take off the tire, unfortunately, to check your pads. But yeah, moving on to your steering box. When you move your pinion, back and forth, you should not have some excessive play or movement in the wrong direction where it's not it's loose or something along those lines. You don't want loose parts going on here. Again, that's going to attribute to excessive wear on the tires or excessive wear and tear on the truck. And then you sort of want to repeat the process going on the other side of the truck. Again, check the tires. If you can check the brakes, check the brakes. Any suspension issues, anything that looks out of the ordinary. Again, check the engine for leaks, anything that also would be of concern down the line. Make sure this side is all good to go. Any cracks in the exhaust pipe is something I would look for. Anything that's damaged. Now, living in Florida, I can tell you, I can attest to this, that AC is one of the most important parts. Some people seem to skip over this little aspect. You want to check your AC lines. What you're checking for is leaking freon or any sort of leaks that would be visible. That will tell you that maybe there is a bad Schrader valve or there is a bad O-ring somewhere, and you're losing freon. The last thing you want, it kind of sucks. You get down to buying your truck, and a couple of days down the road, hey, you don't have AC anymore, and it's 95 degrees outside. Now, going back to electrical issues, once you're already here on the firewall, take an opportunity to look at fuse panel, see if anything's missing, everything's burnt out. If you see anything frying over there, that's definitely not a good sign. Have that addressed as well. Oops, hello. Hold on, let me put that back. Now, after that, now this is something a lot of people don't want to do, but it is part of what I do, is get under the truck. Bring some clothes with you that you don't mind getting dirty. Get under the truck, look at the drive shaft, look at the transmission. Again, look for leaks, look for things missing. Shake the drive shaft. Uh, Really, essentially, what you're doing, for lack of better explanation, is looking for reasons not to buy the truck. And you don't want to get into something that's going to be bad. What I would do again is another something to having some tools with you is getting the plug off the transmission, off the differentials. Check the oil. If you got excessive metal flakes everywhere, that's not a good sign. That's something that's fixing to happen that you want no part of. Yeah. So moving on to the back, you're looking at your tires again. You're looking at your rims. Anything cracked, anything worn. Look at the wear patterns on the tires. Make sure they're all good. That again will tell you if it's a suspension issue. Look at the airbags. So when you start up the truck, make sure they're all air upright. There's nothing leaking excessively. You're looking for things that you don't want to have to spend money on going down the line. That's going to be coming out of your pocket. That's not something you want getting into a truck that will be your first or a second, really. It's not something that should be on you. Don't get a truck that is going to be a money pit. So now, the subject of starting the truck, I'll tell you a little story about this one in particular. When I first came to see this truck and do my, I guess, pre-purchase inspection, this truck did not want to start up. The batteries were dead. For whatever reason, I couldn't tell you why. Maybe it's been sitting that long. Who knows? But they changed out the batteries, and after that, come to find it's got starter issues. Sometimes it would start, sometimes it wouldn't. So that's also a no-go. You guys need to change that out before I decide to buy this truck. I'm not going to have a truck that won't start as soon as I leave the lot. But yeah, moving on to once you actually start the truck, look for telltale signs for something going wrong. Look for your oil pressure when you start up. Make sure it's at a good range. And again, doing research, you come in there, have research in hand that what are the normal parameters for that particular truck. Make sure everything's in spec. Make sure it's not overheating. Any codes, any fault codes, anything's going on like that. Have all of that addressed. Now, once you get your truck started up, I like to tell people, treat it like this is your own truck, like this is yours. Play with the AC, play with the sound system, all the outlets, the electrical plugs, everything. Mess with it all. Make sure it all works. There's nothing that's out of the norm for the truck. That's something that's supposed to be working and it doesn't. Play with the windows, everything. Put your hands on everything on that truck and make sure it is doing what it's supposed to be doing and not acting funky at that as well. And then going back to your basic pre-trip stuff again, do your brake checks, check all your brakes, make sure your valves pop, your spring brakes, all of that stuff. Make sure everything works like it's supposed to. Here's a thing that I checked because before this truck, I came from a truck that didn't have cruise control, so I was pretty adamant about making sure that actually works because you drive 11 hours a day with your foot on the pedal, it starts to hurt, man. And now another thing I would assume would go without mentioning is going on a test drive on a truck. Now, if you're at a dealership or a person is selling a truck that has an issue with you getting in a truck and driving it, walk away. There's something shady going on, and believe me, you don't want to be a part of that. Just walk away, save yourself the hassle. But that being said, want to test drive, again, you want to check for anything that shakes, anything rattles. If your steering wheel is doing one of these numbers when you're doing 45 miles an hour, have all of that addressed. Tell that to the dealer, have it fixed. Make sure everything works. Nothing is giving off some funky smells, some funky sounds. You don't want anything to do with that either. So a cruise with the truck going down the road for a few minutes is vital when playing the truck. So guys, I want to reiterate, when you go in to look at a truck, wherever it may be in a country, um, make sure you go in there with some research in hand, with some general knowledge of that particular truck, the quirks that it has, complaints and reviews. Know some things about the engine. What are the normal parameters? What are the life expectancy? Things to look out for. That should be a big decision factor in the truck that you're looking for. Don't get into a truck that's gonna put you under faster than you bought it. You look for a truck that's going to give you some longevity. It's going to support your business and help you grow. That's the big thing. So be prepared when you go and see a truck. Make sure you have some basic tools with you to do some thorough checks on the truck. Get some clothes you don't mind getting dirty in. Get under the truck. Don't be afraid to do these things. The dealer might look at you funny because that's not normally what they typically see. But we're thinking about you first and foremost, and make sure you cover all your bases. That's the important part. So, guys, with that in mind, make sure you do your due diligence and protect your money and protect your assets and your business. Look out for yourself and make sure you do the right thing. On that note, ciao. I'll catch you on the next one.